Hey Limitless Nation, today you're in for a real treat. Today you get to learn directly from Katie Godden. Katie Godden is a wife, mother, public speaker, qualified NLP trainer, and Master Hypnotherapist. Katie uses trusted procedures and steps to change her life and impact her business. She is now sharing these skills with people so that they too can spend more time and energy focusing on the things that matter. She is all about practical and effective tools to challenge the patterns of thoughts and to change the way people do life and business. The scientifically proven methods Katie uses, paired with her ability to challenge people's thinking, help her clients change their patterns and habits and turn their desires into a reality. Katie enjoys guiding, supporting, and challenging people's thinking while sorting solutions to problems so that they can be more productive, have more time, and more freedom in business and life. Katie truly believes that with a strong mind, you can achieve great things. In today's masterclass, you are going to learn directly from the master herself, Katie Godden.
Before you dive into today's masterclass session, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the button below. It allows you to receive notification bell every single time we provide you with the contents that allows you to live a limitless life. Now, if you want to go deeper on learning on how you can hunt your future, make sure you download our masterclass session at huntyourfuture.com. It allows you to know exactly what you need to do to hunt your future. Plus, we are also going to share with you tips and tricks on what you need to do to live a limitless life starting from today's forward. Now, let's dive into today's masterclass sessions.
Hey, welcome Katie Godden.
Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. It is a privilege to have you here today.
Thanks very much. I'm really excited to be part of this.
Absolutely. Now, here at the Limitless Nation, we have a tradition of starting each and every single interview with a limitless quote or mantra. So do you have a quote or mantra that you say or think to yourself on a nearly daily basis?
Absolutely. The one that I live by is every step counts. So every time I get into something or I'm doing something, every step counts. So it doesn't matter how small and micro those movements are, every single one adds up, and then in the long run, you get massive results.
I like that. It's very similar to the compound effect, just adding one step on top of another step on top of another step, and soon you're at the top of the mountain.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And, you know, it's written everywhere in my house so that it's a constant reminder that it doesn't matter what's going on, what's happening in my life or in the world of Katie Godden, it is just always there, visible to remind me about that.
Now, Katie, can you share with the Limitless Nation a challenge, setback, failure, or just plain obstacle that you had to overcome to get to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, I'd love to. It's a bit of a vulnerability post, but when it was about 8 years ago, my second son was born and he was very, very sick. We spent 3 weeks in an intensive care unit with him, and it wasn't until 5 years later that I actually realized that what I was facing in my world was actually one of the most massive challenges that I had ever faced. So I was having constant flashbacks. I was really angry with the world, blaming everybody, yelling at my kids. And there was one day where my son came in, and this is the one who was sick, and he came in and he spun around the corner, his spoon fell out of his bowl and landed on the floor, and I absolutely lost it at him and had no control over it. I knew consciously that what I was doing was really unforgivable and really quite inappropriate, but at the time I couldn't stop myself. And so that was the pivotal moment for me to go, holy shit, Katie, you've got to do something about this, and now is your time to make the change. So I was living in this world of total chaos all the time. I was heightened emotions. I felt like I was running all the time, like my blood was boiling. And so it was a 5-year process of me actually realizing that this had happened. And so for me, that was the obstacle I had to get over was, well, okay, this is not okay anymore. This is something that is just completely not normal. And so it was up to me to take charge and work out how I was going to get myself out of that.
Wow, that is intense. So over a period of over more than 5 years, you were constantly battling your own emotions and how you interacted with people. Wow.
Yes, absolutely. And I had this, it was really interesting because the more I've spoken about my story, the more people go, "But you're not angry, Katie." And I said, yeah, on the outside I wasn't. I was going to work and I would have that mask on of everything's okay, I've got my stuff together, this is all right, because I worked with children. So, you know, everything was bubbly, we would be silly, we'd sing songs and all those things. And I would come home and feel like this massive pressure. And so it was kind of at home that I would unload. And I didn't realize that I was carrying this. I turned from an extrovert who was always first to the party to an introvert who wanted to go nowhere. And I just thought it was being a mum, you know, taking on this whole new identity of being a mum of 2 boys and having to come and balance work and life and all those things. But when realistically underneath, it wasn't.
Right, right. Now, I'm sure the Limitless Nation is dying to know, what was the aha moment? The moment where you went from battling all of these emotions and being an extrovert slash introvert slash just at odds with life to where you're living now. And it seems like you're living the limitless life, being happy and really at peace. Tell us how you made that transition and what was that moment like?
Yeah, that was really interesting. You know, I had that moment with the milk where it was like, this is not okay. And then I went on a search for about 6 to 8 months of what can I do about this? I have to do something about this. It was a real turning point. But it wasn't until I got in a training room where I actually sat there and the presenters, it was a personal development training, and the presenters in front of me were talking about some US military people, and they were talking about some of their symptoms. So they were having flashbacks. They were really aggressive and explosive. They were this, they were that. This was going on, that was going on. And I sat there and I actually literally sat back in my chair, felt my whole body go hot and went, holy shit, that's me. Because I was living with daily flashbacks, you know, of all the events. It was a constant. You know, it was norm for me. And it was in that moment that I went, wow, there's actually something I can do about this. And I'm in the exact spot that I need to be. And so from that moment on, I used all of the lessons that I learned in that training, all of the tools and techniques to get me out of the shitty hole that I was in and up level to the next place where I am actually in control of my emotions. I'm feeling calmer. I'm feeling more at peace and taking ownership over my behavior.
Wow. Now, Katie, with you taking ownership over your own behavior and actions and life as a result, what are you working on now?
Hope you enjoyed the masterclass session so far. Before we get into the second half of the session itself, it is very crucial for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I really don't want you to miss out on another masterclass where I'm going to share with you what other experts, celebrities, Fortune 5000 companies do to become successful and live a limitless life. So make sure you subscribe right now, and every single time we upload a new video, you will receive a notification bell. This allows you to enjoy the masterclass on the regular basis. So make sure you subscribe right now. Well, as you are ready, let's get into the second half of the masterclass session.
So at the moment, I'm working on being able to pass this information on to other people, because whatever I learn, I now have a thing in my life where whatever I'm learning, I want to be able to give back to people. So I'm creating my own trainings where I can help people get along the path to help themselves and ultimately to help others as well. Because I believe that when we learn this information, it's our duty, it's our calling, like what you're doing here on this, is to actually share that information and get it out to as many people as possible to change the lives of others. And so by creating the trainings that I'm organizing at the moment, that's my way to get this out to the masses, because I truly believe that no one needs to suffer anymore, that we can take ownership of what we're doing and we can create the change in our lives.
I agree. Now, where can the Limitless Nation go to learn more about these trainings and to learn more about you and what you have to offer?
Yeah, great. So I have a Facebook group, which is called Beating Anxiety. And uncovering your greatness. And so they can come and join me there in that group. That's where I will be sharing all my little tips, hints and tricks that I use daily to create the changes and get the greatness out of our lives and live a life that we actually enjoy.
That sounds amazing. So Facebook is the absolute best way to connect with you?
Yes, absolute best way to connect with me.
All right.
And Katie Godden Coaching is my business page if they want to be able to get onto me there.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Now, with you having made this jump from being at odds and at ends with your own self, what was something that was holding you back from really becoming this limitless individual that you are now when you decided to go out and say, I want to help other people do this, the same thing that you had just done?
Yeah. So the real limit that was holding me back was the way I viewed the world. So I'm a type 1 diabetic, and then I was a teacher, and I was all these things, and I was really sitting inside this box, right, where everything was radiating towards me. So I was a type 1 diabetic, I was a teacher, I was a mom, I was a business owner, all these things that I was labeling myself with. But I viewed it from inside a box. And so once I changed that view from looking at myself in a box, giving myself a label, which I always hated, I started to view myself as this being. And so I was in this little bubble, and instead of being boxed in, this is who I am, and I have limitless options expanding from where I am, and there is no box. There is no limit to what I can do. And so once I started viewing life from this angle, that this is who I am and everything grows from there, the change in my thinking, the change in my behavior, the change in the way I helped people became limitless. It really broke the boundaries, and I started living beyond those boundaries that I had created for myself.
Wow, I agree. That is definitely extremely powerful.
It was so powerful, and when I came to that realization, it literally, when you see the emoji with the mind blowing, that's how I felt. I just sort of sat back and really soaked it up, really soaked it up, because I had been living with a label for over 30 years. I've been a diabetic for, 34 years. And I had lived inside that box with people telling me what to do, with having these limitations and these feelings of perfectionist that I had to have. And then it just rippled across to all the other areas. And once I blew those boundaries out, it was like, holy smokes, the options for us become absolutely limitless. And that's when the curiosity kicks in.
I agree. Now, with you having helped so many different people from all walks of life with everything that you're doing now, what would you say is one bit of advice that somebody has given you that you can share with the Limitless Nation?
Absolutely. You are never ready. Just do it. Just do it. And I use that all the time in my business. You're never ready. Just do it.
I agree. I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, because we can wait for so long, right? We can wait to have kids. We can wait to get the perfect job. We can wait to get healthy. We can wait to take care of ourselves. But I was told that once, and I just went, you're right. And now I step into it.
I agree. Now, in the vein of never quite being ready, what are some habits that you have installed into your life that help you maintain this limitless life?
Remaining curious about everything. So whether it's with my clients, remaining curious about how have they built that? How have they got that idea? How have they lived with that? Or it could be just in life in general, getting curious. Well, how can I change that? What can I do? What lesson can I learn from this? So I stay curious by asking myself, what lesson can I learn from this? There's never failure. There's only feedback. And I heard once by a lady named Denise Duffield Thomas that she said failure is like the fertilizer for growth. And I just went, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And so by remaining curious and digging into all those little bits and pieces, for me, that habit and asking myself, what is the lesson I can learn from this? They're the habits that keep me growing. They're the habits that keep that limitless option open.
Right. Now, moving to a hypothetical world, if you one day walked home and realized that all of the books that you own just disappeared, and in a frantic, you look at your bank account and realize that you only have enough money to buy one book. It can be any book, but it can only be one book. What is that book book that you would buy?
Oh, I would stand there. And that was a tough question. I think the one that made a big difference for me in realizing about the options that my mind, my body gives me is Quantum Healing by Bruce Lipton. It was the one for me that really opened my eyes early on and showed me that the options of life and the options of what we choose to do are limitless. And so that would definitely be my book to your viewers.
All right. Now, who's that by?
Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's a cell biologist.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing that. Now, in another hypothetical scenario, if you had the ability to be like in the movie Back to the Future and go back and view a past version of yourself, what advice would you give that person?
Katie, stop blaming others. That would be my biggest advice. I would go back to my early 20s and I would have sat down with myself and said to her, you're not the victim. You have the choices to step forward. You don't need to blame others. Life's not throwing things at you. You need to step forward into life and take ownership on that. And that would have been a huge philosophy that if I'd have got that when I was in my 20s, I would have been really grateful, and my life may have been slightly different, but I'm grateful for where I am now.
I agree. As soon as you stop blaming other people, you start realizing that you're more in control of your life than you ever imagined.
Yes, and it's such an empowering thing to know that rather than sitting there saying, oh, it was this thing that happened to me, it was that thing that happened to me. I've got no money because of the economy. I've got no happiness because the people around me are rubbish. And it's total BS. Like taking ownership over it and transforming your life is absolutely possible no matter where you're at.
I agree. Now, Katie, can you share with us again where the Limitless Nation viewers and listeners can go to learn more about you, what you're working on, and just to connect with you and say hi?
Yeah, absolutely. So my Facebook business page is at Katie Godden Coaching, and they can get hold of me there. And also my email address if they have any questions or anything for me is katiegodden@outlook.com.au, and I'm more than happy to answer emails.
That's amazing. Well, thank you very, very much for your time, Katie.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
I'm sure that the Limitless Nation has been inspired by your story. I know that I have been really just blown away by the recovery and determination that you exhibited, because you went from not being able to understand what was going on with you, why you were so angry with everyone, and just really internalizing a lot of negativity. And then you found a way out of that negativity. And now not only have you helped yourself, you're going on to help other people to live better lives than they previously were living.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, until next time, this is Donovan saying, stay limitless.
Well, that's a wrap. Please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the word subscribe. And if you want to go deeper on learning on what you need to do to hunt your future, make sure you watch the interview that I've done with Donovan on what you need to do to hunt your future on every aspect of your being. This allows you to live a limitless life on every aspect of your life, starting from today's forward. Plus, you are going to receive tips and tricks on what you need to do to tackle your day, tackle your challenges on every situation, every single time. So go ahead and download it right now. And until then, stay limitless forever.